Hey guys, today we are building Dinomist. But honestly, Dinomist, not that crazy. But it is fairly cheap, which is nice, and you get some of the cards from the solo gate. You don't get all of them though, but the rarity only goes up to SR, which is interesting enough. So we have some pretty good cards actually in Dinomist. Well, yeah. Let's just take a look. So with Dinomist Howling, we have this lovely effect. When this card is activated, you can place one or two Dinomist Pendulum monsters from your deck in your Pendulum Zone, but you cannot Pendulum Summon monsters until the end of the next turn, except for Dinomist monsters, even if this card leaves the field. Once per turn, if this card is already face up in your Spell and Trap Zone, you can tribute one Dinomist monster that target one card your opponent controls. Return it to the hand. So, with Howling here, we can place one or two Dinomist Pendulum monsters, and this is better than just raw being able to place two, because if it only said place two, then if we already had a scale, we would be unable to activate this effect, but at least it is not required for the activation, since it is optional, so you have that going even if that was the case. Although it does lock you out of Pendulum summoning any monsters that are not Dinomist monsters, this does not prevent you from normal or special summoning non-Dinomist monsters, which some Pendulum cards would prevent you from doing, so you also have that going. One of the downsides for this, of course, is that it's a continuous trap, so the mileage, you're only going to start seeing it on turn 2 and 3. And then, of course, there's this lovely effect. Once per turn, if this card is already face up in your Spell and Trap Zone, you can tribute one Dinomist monster, then target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So you can do this on either turn and once per turn. So this effect has a lot of mileage. Even though it says you tribute one Dinomist monster, this is not that big of a deal for this deck. Also, notably, this card is actually not hard once per turn at all. This is soft once per turn. Meaning, like, just in theory, I wouldn't need any cards in the Pendulum Zone necessarily to activate this, right? So, if I had 3 Dinomist Howling, that could just be a thing. And I could just bounce back 3 every turn, assuming I can have minimum 3 Dinomist monsters to tribute. Like every single turn, that would be bounce 3. The small downside to this is that it only targets cards your opponent controls. Sometimes it is useful, of course, to return your own cards to the hand, but I guess that this would allow for some looping potentially. Would it? Maybe. So yeah, whatever. All things considered, pretty decent card. And then we have Dinomist Eruption. If a Dinomist monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. This card, pretty mid. Alright, moving on. Dinomist Rush. Special summon a Dinomist monster from your deck, and if you do, it is unaffected by other cards' effects, also destroyed during the end phase. You can only activate one Dinomist Rush per turn. So this card is actually pretty interesting. So if you summon a Dinomist monster from your deck, it actually will become a Towers, and you're going to special summon it off of this card, of course. And it will also be destroyed during the end phase. So, notably, this is pretty interesting. It will attempt to destroy itself every single end phase. But there is nothing stopping you from protecting your monster that you summon off of Dinomist Rush. And this pairs with the Pendulum effect of the Dinomist cards. If another Dinomist cards you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead. And yeah, a lot of the cards protect Dinomist cards. So just for example, let's say we special summon Dinomist Rex off of the effect of Dinomist Rush. Then we can protect with, for example, this one would not. That's only your opponent's see, is it this one? Ah, yeah, Dinomist Ceratops. If another Dinomist cards you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead. Nope, doesn't work. Actually, never mind. These all say opponent's card effects, don't they? What? Do they really? Oh. Well, worse than expected. So I guess you can protect it with Dingirsu then, I guess. Not much else to do. So I guess if you protect like Rex with Dingirsu, you would have 3 turns of having an unaffected monster, which is not the worst, not the best. I mean, this is like probably your best target, I believe, to summon off of that effect. So a bit unfortunate, I guess. Well, whatever. Let's go through all of the effects real fast. So, if you do not control Dinomist Brachion in your monster zone, and your opponent controls a monster that has the highest attack on the field, even if it's tied, you can special summon this card from your hand. So this effect, not the worst, not the best. Your opponent needs to control a monster, so this is best if you can give your opponent the highest attack monster somehow, which is weird. I don't think that's really doable. Okay, all face-up monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack and defense for each Dinomist card you control. So that's interesting because that includes, like, spell traps. So, for example, Dinomist Charge and Dinomist Howling also count. Dynamic Power Load doesn't count, I don't think. This is Dinomist, right? Yeah, that's not a Dinomist card, apparently. Cool. So this can negate an activated card effect that targets another Dinomist cards you control, then destroy this card. Pretty chill. And then this one, if another pendulum monster you control battles an opponent's monster, after damage calculation, you can destroy those monsters. So this effect is, like, potentially useful. Not sure. But notably, this actually does not target, at least. So it could come up, I guess, where you need non-target destruction, and this is it. So, let's say, for example, I have, I don't know, Brachion, and I attack into, like, BLS, the Link 3 one. We attack into that, then we can use the effect to destroy those monsters. So that would destroy Brachion, and then... Actually, does it? It says those monsters. Does my Brachion need to remain on the field? Does this have battle protection somewhere? Yes. So, maybe we actually need to make use of the battle protection because it says those monsters and not like your... It doesn't say your opponent's monster. So, I think your monster actually has to survive the battle. So, worse than expected. If your opponent tries to destroy Dynamite... Well, it also says Dynamist card, so this protects against Raigeki at least, which is nice. If all monsters you control are Dynamist monsters, minimum 1, and none are Dynamist Ceratops, you can special summon this card from your hand. So, this is just useful in general for making, like, Beyond the Pendulum and Electromite now, so... This card, probably, like, one of the best cards, honestly. In your deck. Okay. If another Dynamist card... Yeah, same effect. And then Terran. Terran's effect is when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add a Dynamist card from your deck to your hand. So this is only a usable or playable card on either turns 2 or 3. That's when this starts actually being a relevant effect. But it is nice in that it doesn't just add a Dynamist monster, but a Dynamist card, so you could add Howling or Charge, which is nice. And it has the same protection effect. Okay, banish any monster destroyed by battle with a Dynamist monster you control. So, although this effect might be a little niche, this does have some usage. Like, some relatively useful usages, you know? Like, if you were playing against Phantom Knights, being able to banish their cards when you destroy them by battle, that's not bad at all. Disregarding the fact that you would need higher attack points than your opponent. So, to destroy some of their extra deck monsters by battle. Yeah. Anyway, new card, Dynamite Payload the Draco Slayer. So this card is always treated as a Dinomist card. If this card is tributed, you can add a face-up Draco Slayer or Dinomist Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except for Dynamite Powerload the Draco Slayer. You can only use this effect of Dynamite Powerload the Draco Slayer once per turn. So, let's see. You can add from your extra deck to your hand. So this effect, yeah, kind of whatever. Pendulum effect. You can target a Draco Slayer or Dinomist card in your other Pendulum Zone, special summon it. So this effect is also crazy because it's really one of your good ways, alongside Ceratops, to get to Pendulum monsters on the field in Archetype, I guess. So you have these two options, and this helps out your plays a lot by allowing you to go into Beyond the Pendulum and Electromite. So this card, the monster effect, pretty great. Can't say much about anything else though. I don't know how you would tribute this logically on the first turn in a reasonable way anyway, so whatever. Moving on, Dinomist Rex. Once while this card is in your Pendulum Zone, you can negate an activated card effect that targets another Dinomist cards you control, then destroy this card. Notably, what's interesting is I think you might be able to protect your Dinomist cards with your Dinomist cards, can you? No, you can't, because it's only your opponent's cards effects. So you cannot protect your Dinomist cards in, like, the Pendulum Zone from being destroyed with each other, I guess. Well, whatever. Now, the monster effect for this one is kinda sick. So, if this card attacks at the end of the damage step, you attribute one other Dinomist monster, then activate one of these effects. This card can attack an opponent's monster again in a row, and if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So, that's pretty nice. And then, shuffle one card from your opponent's hand at random or their side of the field into the deck. Then this card gains 100 attack. So this also sadly requires the battle phase, but you can start shuffling your opponent's cards from the field into the deck, and this form of removal is pretty cracked. Notably, because here, it never mentions targeting. This is non-targeting shuffle back a card. So if we just look at this effect by itself and ignore the trigger condition, this is cracked. Disregarding the fact that you need to be playing Dinomist, so you need to tribute a other Dinomist monster. So, yes. And this card cannot be destroyed by that battle. It needs to be here at the end of the damage step to activate one of these effects. So, Dinomist Rex, also not hard once per turn. If you have multiple Dinomist Rexes, they're really shuffling back your opponent's cards back into the deck, I guess, you know? Pretty cracked. So let's go ahead and throw in some of these cards real quick. So 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, and we'll worry about the others later. Field Spell. Dynamic Power Load. All Dinomist monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. If a Dinomist monster you control battles your opponent, cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. So, what's good about this? Your Dinomist monsters, well, all Dinomist. If your opponent for some reason is playing Dinomist, I guess they would also get 300 attack defense. How many games do you think anyone ever saw this come into play? Well, whatever. If a Dinomist monster you control battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. That's all it does. So, yeah. Mirror Force. Magical Cylinder. Whoa, you can't do any of that stuff to me. Woe is me. But this only works on activated effects, right? Yeah. So, against Mikanko, this would not help you at all. Sadly. Alright, next we have Dinomist Spinos. Spinos has some fun effects, doesn't it? If another Dinomist cards you control would be destroyed by battle, or an opponent's card flip, you can destroy this card instead. Okay, and then you contribute one other Dinomist monster, then activate one of these effects. This card can make a second attack during this battle phase this turn, or this card can attack your opponent directly this turn. Okay, never mind. These effects are kind of mid. Except for attack directly, this might actually come into play, where you might need the lethal, and there might be some reason where this effect is the only way you could get lethal. Maybe decent. But also, notably, there is no hard once per turn on this effect. So if you tribute 2 monsters, you can attack for 5k directly. So actually, a little bit better than expected. Next, and finally last, we have this card. The only card that has a hard once per turn on it, you know? Why this has a hard once per turn? No. Feels bad, I guess. When this card is activated, add a Dinomist monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if a Dinomist cards is added from your field to your extra deck, face up, add one of those cards to your hand. So, sadly, like, you can only activate one of these per turn, right? But the effects are still inherently not hard once per turn. But, did you guys know something? This effect is mandatory. When this card is activated here, this is also mandatory on activation. So, the first one where you just add a Dinomist monster from your deck to your hand, disregard this. Like, honestly, adding this to your hand is generally never bad. Even if you get trolled, whatever, what were you going to do about it? You're playing Dinomist, you know? So, however, once per turn, if a Dinomist card is added from the field to your extra deck face up, add one of those cards to your hand. So, if you had, like, 2 Dinomist charge, for example, and let's say we tribute a Dinomist to activate an effect, like, let's say it's Spino, we tribute Spino, then both of them would trigger and target Spino, unless we tributed multiple monsters at the same time, or whatever. So, basically, if we link 2, then we would be able to add both of the cards we used to link summon, assuming they were both Dinomist. That would work, but if we ever, like, only return 1 card, it would forcibly trigger both of our copies of Dinomist charge, and we'd be forced to target the same card twice, and that card loses mileage there. And the sad part about that is, of course, this card is obviously a 3-of. This is like Rhoda for the archetype, like, yeah. And also worth mentioning is all of these monsters are machines. So yeah, let's just put in 3 of Brachion, I guess, and anything else. I think we want 3 of Spinos. No copies of this. Howling. We can do 2 Howling. I think we need copies of Terran. Ankylos. 1 of Ankylos. 1 of Plesios. Stegosaur. I think we want to do about this many, I guess. How many low scales do we have, actually? 3, 3, 6, 3, 3. We have a decent balance. Let's check our scales real quick. How balanced are our scales? Let's see, we have 6, 6, 3. And then we have charge. So this is playable enough, I guess. And then once we throw in our staples, we clearly don't have much room for much else, I guess. So, we probably only play, like, Ash Blossom Called By, and we can afford, like, no other staples, and then the other 6 slots we should fit in, like, some more engine, logically. That's how I see it, at least. Well, one thing that is worth thinking about, though, is that we can probably find a decent field spell to run alongside this, even if it's not the Dinomist one, because the Dinomist one, honestly, sucks ass. But, yeah, there's potentially a decent field spell we can run. So, not the Armor Fade one, I guess. Would be interesting if there was synergy. Unfortunately, there is not. Necro Valley. I don't remember how that ruling works with pens, but whatever. Moving along. Flawless Perfection. Black card in Boot Sector. Dragonic Diagram. We don't have the cards for this. Okay. I don't know if there's a really good field spell with Synergy or not, but I mean... I guess it's on the table, you know. It's worth consideration at the very least, because Majesty's, I don't remember what it was called, Majesty something? Majestic? Majesty Pegasus, the Draco Slayer? Yeah. So this card can just search any field spell, so maybe relevant. And this, of course, can be special summoned and also synergizes with this. And they're good scales together as well. So, worth consideration. Although this does discard a card from your hand, which has like no synergies with anything in the deck. Unfortunately, yeah. So, then I guess logically, Beyond the Pendulum is probably good here. So let's just throw in 2 for now until I come up with something else. So Apollosa, let's throw in just generic links for now, and we'll figure it out later. So Selene is technically makeable, but I don't see enough spell traps to warrant it. If we have 2 scales, that would only be 2, so we still need like something in the graveyard. But the only spells and stuff we're running are Kant. So yeah, that doesn't really work, and we want to run probably some more pendulum monsters, so we'll figure that out, I guess. Electromite, might as well. And then, I don't know, IP Masquerade Unicorn, pretty normal. So we'll just throw these in for now. And are these guys high enough level for BLS? I don't think so, right? Black Luster. And then level 7 or higher. The highest we have is level 5, so no, I guess. Okay. So then, I guess maybe we'll look for a link 3 with good arrows. So does Selene actually have good arrows or not? That is all I'm looking at. So Selene does have good arrows, but eh. A bit awkward, I guess. So we'll just go link 3 like this and see if there are any other good link 3s with good arrows. Like Magnite Spectrum Supreme surprisingly actually has pretty good arrows for pen summoning. As strange as that might be. Well, whatever. Let's see, what's this monster? Tau T Dragon, 2+ monster special summon for the extra deck. Well, that's not happening. But it does have good arrows, if nothing else. Scare Claw Try Heart. Oh, this is actually kind of funny. This is a maybe from me. This is generic, but it does require 3 effect monsters, so that's actually a little problematic. Just slightly, though. If we want to make a link to, like, Beyond the Pendulum, I would prefer to go, like, Beyond the Pendulum and then into something else. So preferably we wouldn't go into try there. And in fact, it has a small issue, I guess. 2+ monsters, including a link monster. This is potentially decent. This has decent arrows. Draco Masters of Tenyi. Not super useful effect-wise, though. Oh well. Zombies, Moonsis, Weather. What is this? Dino Wrestlers. Ritual Monster. Goki. TG. So it looks like our best option may indeed be Celine. Because nothing else is generic enough to actually make, unfortunately. So, looks like the ideal Link 3 is probably going to be Celine. Even if we can't use the special summon any spellcaster monster, just being able to do this and then make stuff is fine in general, I guess. Or we can just run no Link 3s and just live with our choices. Well, anyways, here's time for the tech for the Dinomist. So, as it happens, all of our monsters are actually machines. They are water machines, which is the same typing as Crystron Helki Fibrax and Crystrons in general. Which is just a amusing fact. But aside from that, we have Cyber Dragon Nova, which only requires 2 level 5 machine monsters to make. And then, this has the lovely effect of being able to be made into Cyber Dragon Infinity. So once per turn, you can also XYZ summon Cyber Dragon Infinity by using a Cyber Dragon Nova you control as material. So boom, you have an Omni Negate here. All you have to do is get 2 level 5 machine monsters onto the field, and then boom. Make Nova, make Infinity, boom bada bop pow. You have Cyber Dragon Infinity. Yay. And that's great, I guess. Do we have any other payoffs we could go for, maybe? Anyway, to spam more bodies on the field? I don't know. So here we have Ceratops, Rex, and Terran. So here we can normal summon Terran, and then we can special summon Sarah from the hand. Okay. So then we can make Beyond the Pendulum here, or Electromite, whatever. Doesn't super matter. But actually, now that I'm looking at this, because we do put stuff into the graveyard, Therion. Alright, we'll round it out with, like, Therion like this. So we'll just throw in these guys like that, and then round it out with, like, these. Like 3 of these. This makes sense in my head, I guess. And then we just have to mostly figure out what we're putting in the extra deck. If we're playing this, then running Astrograph makes sense, I guess. Astrograph is in general just not bad. So we'll just throw one of Astrograph and see how that works, I suppose. Astrograph, if nothing else, still can probably have like an okay scale. And aside from that, we can still make XYZ 4 and 5. So let's go look at our options for 4. Redoer. Redoer is always nice. But of course, if we XYZ, small issue, not big deal, but if we do XYZ summon, well, our materials go to the graveyard, and we have no way of making use of them. So that sucks, I guess. But actually, now that I think about it, we can make Stealth Kraken. Nice. How many spawns does this summon? Up to the materials this card has attached. Okay, so we can make Stealth Kraken, and we have spawns. Not bad. And then, of course, Zeus is an option. So we'll figure that out when we get to that point. So 4s. Loads of 4s, actually. More so than 5s. I don't think that it's really worth looking at an additional 5. So let's go Chakanine, Trident, and then let's grab Borbo. And then we'll grab Zeus, and we'll just cut out something, and we should be fine. 2 2 beyond the pendulum. I don't think we would need it necessarily, but do we? Well, honestly, if we cut out Unicorn IP, we're just doing better for this. I didn't really like the idea of IP Unicorn for this anyways. It's pretty whatever. And then I guess we'll just round out with like something pretty normal. Like we could do this, but let me check this and see what this does actually. Magister Paladin. This card is XYZ summon, you can add a pendulum monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase of this turn. Once return, you can detach one material from this card. Special summon one face up Draco's Lair pendulum monster from your extra deck, but cannot be used as material for an XYZ summon, so solve once per turn everywhere here. Or actually, no hard once per turn anywhere on here, I guess, but not super worth making. And we don't have the tuners for this, unfortunately. And this, I don't know if we should try to make usage out of this or not. This summons Ignite or a Draco Slayer, and it becomes a tuner. So I don't want to think about that effect too much, so let's not. A Draco Slayer Pendulum Monster plus a Pendulum Monster, this is actually summonable though. Let's see if this effect is worthwhile though. Must first be special summoned from your extra deck by attributing the above cards you control. Pendulum monsters, monster cards in your monster zones and pendulum zones cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. So, okay, that's fine. Once per turn, you can special summon a Draco Slayer Pendulum Monster from your hand or graveyard, but cannot be used as fusion material. How do you put them into the graveyard or anything like that? I don't think we can. Alright. You are dead to me now. Let's see. I guess a Redoer is okay. So we'll just go with Redoer for now. I guess Verte make DP is like not completely off the table. It just requires some like movement of our extra deck a bit, and that'd be fine. But yeah, in general, looks okay to me. So these are also level 4. And it doesn't matter what our typing is for our level 4s, so whatever. So here we have Therian Discoloseum. Guess we might as well activate it. And then we have these guys. And we have no play we can make. So even if we resolve Discoloseum, doesn't do a whole lot. Terran will probably just get run over pretty fast. So more generic tech for our Dinomist might be required. But it conflicts, actually. If we play, like, the Abyss Actor Pendulum card, it conflicts with Ceratops, because you must control all Dinomist monsters. And you need to control, at minimum, 1 Dinomist monster, so, we have a bit of a conflict of interest here. Well, let's just try another hand. The deck is not that bad in general. Well, it's not that great, but it's not like the absolute worst thing in the world, I guess. So we have Power Load, Pegasus, and this discards, of course, to activate. Too bad they don't have like a if removed from the field trigger, because then that would have synergy with Therian King Regulus whenever Therian King Regulus tributes itself. Well, whatever. This Pend effect would allow us to add a Draco Slayer monster with a different name, then optional destroy. So we can add... Wait, does it say different original name than that card? Okay, I think it can add itself then, right? Unless it mentions itself? No. Okay, so like scale this, use this effect to add this. I think that's fine. And then we can technically normal summon this, check our scales. No more scales like that, but we can beyond the pendulum grab a high scale. So I don't know, would we want that one? This one, this one. What high scale do we grab? I guess we can grab Brachion. So we can grab Brachion, I guess, or Actually, Rex is better, I think. Is it? It's only if this card attacks that this triggers, right? Yeah, so that's fine then. So actually, we should grab probably Dinomist Rex, and then later we can Electromite to add it to the hand, and then we can utilize it the next turn that way, I guess. So first, though, Beyond the Pendulum probably for Dinomist Rex, and then in our hand should be a copy of Majesty Pegasus, Terran, and then in our extra deck we have a copy of, let's see, Dynamite, and then wait, what did we special summon? Majesty, maybe? Or Dynamite. We could actually do either or. So I think it was power load, and then normal, add power load, special power load. Right? Oh wait, that's the Pend effect. Oh. Okay. So then we would actually use the pendulum effect here to special summon Majesty Pegasus and normal summon Dynamite Power Load actually, or Terran. Doesn't super matter which one. And then we can use the discard effect. So we should have one copy of Dynamite Power Load in hand. So we have 2 monsters in hand essentially. Level 4s. Okay. And then we will be able to make them into Stealth Kraken pretty easily. So that's chill. And when we pen summon, we can actually pen back the 4s we just used, right? So like Majesty Pegasus, Dynamite Power Load, other Dynamite Power Load. So after we pen summon, we should have, I believe, Beyond the Pendulum. And depending on if we want to activate Majesty's Pegasus effect or not, we technically could, right? If we discard Ash Blossom Joy Spring, that would work, I guess. Because, why not? Sure. But then we don't have anything for Regulus if we do that Discoloseum. So I guess Terran, sure. What do we have to make here? We can't make Electrum, right? We can do Apollosa, I guess. So if we end on like Therian King Regulus, I think with Apollosa and Stealth Kraken, not bad. And we also have the protection on our Apollosa with Therion Discoloseum if we ran more Therion cards. Yeah, actually, Discoloseum, I forgot I need more cards to actually do that. So I think we need to put in like 1 copy of Endless Engine, and then we should be okay. Like 1 copy of Endless Engine? Sure. It just won't brick us, surely. And then we're fine. We didn't get the 5s onto the field, so we don't get the Omni Negate from the Cyber Dragon Infinity, but that's okay, I guess. So now we have Sarah and Dynamite Power Load the Draco Slayer. So actually, here we can get 3 bodies on the field, like, pretty fast, just like, you know. So let's see who we can normal summon first. Ah, I see, no one. So never mind, we will not be normal summoning, I suppose. Well, that's awkward. Okay, that's fine. So I guess we'll start off by scaling Dynamite Power Load, and then Brachion effect to special summon Brachion with the Pendulum effect. So special summon Brachion, this doesn't really do anything. Ceratops special summon. And then, wow, there's no Link Dinomist. That actually kind of sucks. So if we had a Link Dinomist, we'd be able to special summon our other Ceratops. I thought that would be interesting, but whatever. So anyways, continuing on. Now we have Ceratops and Brachion on the field. This is hard once per turn, right? Yeah. The Draco Slayers have hard once per turn, keeping that in mind. So then we special summon our Dinomist cards. And then I guess Beyond the Pendulum is okay here. So we don't have any 4s aside from Dynamite Power Load. So awkward, but it is what it is. So here we definitely go for a Cyber Dragon Nova. So we'll go like special summon this, Beyond the Pendulum, and then we'll grab probably just Rex to get it into circulation's fine. Then I guess we can special summon let's see, Rex is fine, I guess. Doesn't super matter. So special summon Rex, Brachion, Ceratops, and Ceratops. So that should be 4 monsters. So it's just probably just make Apollosa, I guess, alongside Cyber Dragon Infinity. And we can pass on that, and that's pretty chill, I guess. So unfortunately, somehow I haven't gotten a hand like this. Now this is more of what I'm talking about, except now we have Called By, Ash Blossom Joe Spring, and we cannot play. So I guess we can wait on charge. So hopefully Ash Blossom Joe Spring and Called By can carry the turn, so we probably just set Howling and pass, because we don't even have a normal summon, do we? Actually, we do if we activate charge. So I guess we do activate charge. Never mind. So here's the play. We activate charge. Now, the best 4 we have is obviously Dynamite Power Load. So we will add this normal summon Dynamite Power Load. And then we will activate Dinomist Howling, and this will allow us to place 2 scales. And this will also make it hard-ish to out our little guy. So we have 2 pieces of interaction, actually. So next things is we should choose our scales. So we don't want to use Ceratops. I want to still draw into Ceratops, so let's look for a different 3. Okay, Stegosaur. This isn't too crazy, so we'll scale Pegasaur, or Pegasaur. Stegosaur, and then we'll scale Dynamite Power Load. Probably. I think this is the best scale 6 we have in the deck. So probably these 2. So Stegosaur alongside our Dynamite Power Load. And then the next turn, we can target 1 card our opponent controls and return it to the hand. And we have Ash Blossom Joe Spring, and hopefully that's just enough, so that we have another turn. And then we'll draw for turn, and it is a Spinos. Nice. And then we can now Pendulum Summon our Dinomist monsters, which is nice. And of course, if we tributed our Dynamite Power Load, it goes back to the hand, actually. And do we have a low scale? Spinos is a low scale. So, of course, I said I have Dinomist Stegosaur, and this is the one I would have scaled. So, I can special summon Stegosaur now. And then that would be off of the effect of Dynamite Power Load. And we can scale Spinos if we wish. But we could also special summon it after we pen summon, actually. And I think that might be the play here. So we could try for that, and we can do that, and that will allow us to make a rank 4 of some sort if we do that. This has to attribute Dinomist cards, though. But we can also go into Cyber Dragon Infinity if we so choose. And I believe we still do have our normal summon here. So if we pen summon and then link off, then technically we can add that card back to our hand. So the card in question is the second Power Load, I guess. So that Power Load can go back to our hand, and then we can normal summon it. Okay. And then that's the point where we could do our XYZ summon into Stealth Kraken if we so choose, right? And then we should have 2 5s. So we should still be able to trigger Rex's effect. And then we should be able to do the untargeted shuffle, non-targeting shuffle. And yeah, that sounds about right. So this is about my, like, the full extent of my knowledge of Dinomist. So that's about where I'm at, I guess. I don't know if you actually have an opportunity to make Electromite. Like, doesn't seem like super good, surprisingly. So yeah, I guess that's that. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video because that's all I've got for you guys today. Bye.